in about a second. We'll be recording. Fantastic. We are recording. So, like I said earlier, if there's anyone who you think should be on here who needs to hear this, please do send them a message and share the link with them, the joining link here on Teams or the link on YouTube for them to join us. All right. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Take Control of Your Personal Data, the Best Practices for Secure Identity Management. You will agree with me that in today's digital age, our personal data is more and more vulnerable than ever. From online shopping to social media, we're constantly sharing sensitive information that can be exploited by cybercriminals and malicious actors. So taking control of your personal data is crucial in protecting your identity and preventing data breaches. In this webinar, we will explore the best practices for secure identity management, including how to safeguard your online presence, manage your passwords, and protect your sensitive information. So whether you're an individual looking to secure your personal data or you're a professional seeking to enhance your organization's identity management practices, this webinar will provide you with valuable insights and actionable tips to help you take control of your digital identity. So are we ready to get started? Please leave me an emoticon or a reaction. Are we ready to get started? Great. Great. I see one person, and the rest of us know they're excited to get started. Please, let's get excited to get started. Great, great. All right. So to begin, I would like to introduce our very first speaker today. We have a lot to share in this webinar. When I read out the title, you would have noticed that it's a really long title. And because it's a long title, it's just an indicator that there is quite a lot for us to discuss, from taking control of your personal data to, learning best practices for secure identity management. So our very first speaker today, who will be delivering our keynote address on taking control of your personal data, is none other than Mr. Ademola Mustapha. A round of applause for him in the comments, please. So please welcome with me Mr. Ademola Mustapha, a serial entrepreneur and the Chief Executive Officer of Priocline Holdings, with subsidiaries including Priocline Consulting, Prio Capital, Prio Infinite Data, Priocline Energies, and Priocline Technologies, the creators of Amala Cloud Solutions. Mr. Ademola is the visionary of and principal stakeholder in Amala Cloud Solutions, and his keen desire is to revolutionize the data management and financial services landscape in Nigeria and beyond. So with a round of emoticon applauses in the comments, let's make welcome Mr. Ademola Mustapha.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead, Mr. Ademola.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope we're all doing good. Well, I think recently I found myself talking about this topic a lot: data, your identity, and it's just keeps getting interesting, right? It just keeps getting exciting. Talking about the topic, talking about how we could do better sharing the digital age. And I'm excited to be here today to talk about how to take control of personal data. And hopefully at the end of this session, you'll be able to see more reasons why you need to take control of your financial data, personal data, and how you could probably use Amala to help, achieve this. So I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I'm just going to share my screen. So let me know if you can see my screen. Screw this up. All right, so I'm just going to get started. So, just a couple of questions here, right? I'm sure some of us know data, we know what our personal data are, but just a couple of questions I've started with here, just to get us started, right? When was the last time any of you checked? Just ask yourself these questions, right? You don't need to put the answer in chat, but just think about it. When was the last time you checked which apps or websites have access to your data, right? You know, I remember back in the days when I first had access to the internet, I was very eager to open Facebook, open Twitter, and literally any other platform that comes online. I was just always opening accounts and creating accounts. And there's so many accounts and so many people have created or opened online, right? But what was the last time you actually did a check and say, okay, why do I have this account? Do I still need this account? Was that last month? Was that last year? Or you've never ever just thought about that, or that's not important, right? We'll see. Um, if your financial data or personal information was processed today, would you know, right? And how would you know? If someone wants to get a loan today in your name, right? How would you know someone has taken a loan in your name, right? How would you know if somebody has tried to buy a house using particular details, right? How would you know if someone has even, taken control of your data and there's a whole alternate world that someone is living using your old details, traveling around the world with your data? How would you know if someone's processing your data or using your data without your consent, right? Think about these things and look, and then you begin to realize, well, okay, this is my identity, this is my name. Am I really in control, right? How am I in control? How do I get informed, of when this data is being processed? Then the last question I have here is, what do you think happens to your address and identity details after you have signed up for a new digital service? So you've got a new platform, you've signed up, you've done your ID verification, and you've done your address verification, or you've done the app asks you to turn up your location so that you could access the app. What do you think happens after after you've provided those information, or granted those accesses to your data? Right, excuse me. So those are the questions that would sort of channel and direct the conversation I'm going to have with us today, right? And what's that conversation about, right? Or why does this conversation matter? Why is it important? Right now, we can all agree, back in the days, they'll say there was the oil boom, the industrial revolution, and right now, I would say there's the technology revolution, and I'm sure you all will agree, there's the IT revolution, whereby everything is IT. We are beginning to see AI. In this meeting, we have like a couple of people have already added AI, right? So they have data, they have that information, right? So why does this conversation matter? And if you look at the Nigerian market, you see that in the research I was doing, more than 72% of consumers in emerging markets, and this is Nigeria specifically, feel like they've lost control over their personal data, which I've said feel, right? But in actual sense, most of these people don't even have control over their personal data. They don't even know what that means, right? If you were to ask someone, how do you control or how do you manage your personal data? They probably say, I don't know, I keep my NIN where it is safe, right? Or they probably have no idea. Some people have spoken to them, they don't even have any idea. They just know they have NIN or they have a passport, right? But how do they actually keep that data safe and manage that data, right? Um, so you see lack of control of data leads to fraud, identity misuse, and financial exclusion. Yesterday, I was speaking to someone, and I was listening. I was speaking to a friend basically, and was telling me about an organization where they give out loans, right? And what happens? This organization sends us agents to go to government buildings and meet government employees and offer to give them loans. Now, some of these agents then decide to do something very interesting. They go to a government employee that's interested in collecting a loan of 300,000 naira, and the government employee fills up all the information, provides all the data to get a loan of 300,000 naira, right? But then what the agent then does is, when it's going back to the organization, it changes the amount from 300,000 naira to 600,000 naira, right? Now, so these agents, not really very clear how they even manage this, but within the system, they take the data and they change the amount and add 300,000 naira extra to that loan that that individual collected. Now they've indebted that individual unknowingly. You collected a loan for 300, all of a sudden you're seeing that you're repaying loan of 600,000 naira. And that's because they didn't even know when this happened. They probably find out later when the loan organization came back and said, you're still owing us 300,000. Like, how am I 300,000? Apply for the 300,000. So giving people control of your data can, without you knowing when it is used, how it is used, really can increase fraud basically, and identity theft is a big thing in this time. So but what's personal data, right? If you ask some people what's personal data, different people, different conversations, it really depends on their exposure. Some people tell you personal data is the name. Some people tell you the personal data is name, email address, the phone number, right? But why is it important? And what's personal data? So personal data, we have personal identifiable information. That's your name, your address, date of birth, national ID numbers, things that can easily identify you, right? In Nigeria now, we'll probably add under there your phone number, because if I have your phone number, I could identify you by verifying that phone number and see whose NIN is linked to that, and so on and so forth. Your email address is not so much a personal identifiable information, unless you have an email address that says ademola.mustafa@gmail.com. Then I could say, okay, that's Ademola Mustafa. But I could also have email like 0404@gmail.com. It's not really personal identifiable information, right? But there's still your personal information, personal data. Then you have the transactional data, how often you purchase things online, how often you sign up into the application, where you sign into the application from, right? Right now, some of you, there's a ban on Twitter, right? And Nigeria, you have to use VPN to access Twitter, right? And the only way you could do that was by changing your location. So that's your location data. You had to present yourself in another location to be able to access Twitter at that particular point. And that's this way transactional data and some personal identifiable data works. And that's everything around data is that, right? That's why you have to secure it, because someone can take your data, impersonate you, and then, they do whatever they want to do with that. And then you have the sensitive data. People don't really talk about this, but this is very, very crucial. Your health record, your political opinion, your political views. This actually matters. And that's why if you go to the bank or you're filling some questions or you're applying for some loans, they ask you, are you a political exposed person? Because that allows them to make a separate type of decision while they're processing your personal data for whatever application you're making, right? So these different sort of data, and it's a lot, right? Your shopping pattern is data, right? The amount for Jumia, your shopping pattern is data. The amount of times you go to Jumia, the amount of times you buy a phone, or the amount of times you collect a loan, your insurance. There's a lot of data, your attitude, right? And things that can be linked to you. These are your personal data. Some of them are not identifiable, they're not easily identifiable to yourself, but a couple of data combined together can really, really be used to, identify you, which then can be used to personate and can be processed, however. Right. So what's the risks? What's the risks that this poses for consumers? The thing is, you have to give your data to get a loan. You have to give your data to buy a product. You have to log in. You have to accept the location probably before you get a service. That's what all these guys are doing. And some of these application providers, they are doing it. They're asking for this data. Some reasons for regulatory purposes. For some, they just want to have that data so they could create better products for yourself, or maybe they could target you better ads. And for some organizations, they take that data and they sell it. And funny thing is, you've agreed to sell that data, because some terms and conditions clearly stated there that they can sell this data to whoever, for whatever purposes, basically, in some of the terms and conditions, basically. So, but what are the common risks that you face is them processing your data without your consent, right? So you've given them the data to get a loan, right? But you applied for only a loan, and for some reasons, next week you're getting information on come and buy a house, come and buy this, or come and do that, which can be good, but do you really want to have that information? Did you really consent to them processing data in that way, right? I've already mentioned data shared with third parties without your knowledge, because if consented to it, right, they share the data with third parties even beyond the scope of the consent you've given. So you might have consented for them to share your data with maybe regulatory bodies and some organizations, because you're never informed. They could share your data whoever and you don't know. And tomorrow you see an email from a new service provider that you've never registered with, but for some reason you're getting an email from them, because some of these providers process the data without your knowledge and share them with third parties, right? So these are some common risks, and all this linked to one major problem. We're in the age where we all take loan online. We're in the age where people in some countries buy houses online. We're in the age where you can live your whole life online. Now, imagine a malicious person or someone with bad intent doing everything you're doing, but as you're doing, taking loans on your name, putting in financial debts, putting in financial trouble. These are things that could ruin your life and ruin, the life of your children or your whole lineage, basically, right? So it's very, very important to take control of your data. Now, if you look at what I said, right, why does this, did you in my initial questions, if I go back to my initial questions, I asked if your financial data or personal information was used without your consent, how would you know? Right. Now, why does this matter for financial access? Right. Why is your data important for financial access? Investment opportunities. So in Nigeria, people think that one of the reasons, well, we say Nigeria is probably the capital of poverty, or maybe it's India, or whatever argument it is. But in the age we're in now, right, your data could really also ensure that you're poor and that you remain poor, right? And how can your data ensure that, how can that happen by you not taking control of your data? Because right now, your data can unlock opportunities for you. But if you don't know how to manage your data, if you're not in control of your data, you will never be able to unlock these opportunities. If you go to the bank and tell them you want to get a loan, right, they will check your credit history. They will ask you some questions basically to understand who you are. And those questions are basically information that is unique to yourself, which is what we call the personal data, your personal identifiable data, right? So your data can really unlock financial opportunities. They can make or break you financially. They can give you access to private finance, or they can deny you access to private finance, right? So buy now later pay buy now and pay later services that we all do online. Some people go online and they're like, okay, they buy a loan or they buy a product and they decide not to pay back because they're like, oh no, no one can track me. Well, that data is there, right? The credit bureau is probably going to take that data. And because you've done however you want to treat that particular application, whether you decide to pay it or not, that could affect future decisions, right? And that's why one thing I'll call out later is it's very important. But how you manage your data can help you build trust, right? You're basically packaging yourself, and that's what your data is. It's you package, right? You package yourself to say, this is my name, this is me, this is bank accounts I have, this is how often I took loans, this is where I live, this is, and when I left this house, I moved to the next house, I changed my address. Those type of consistency is what service providers want to see, or businesses or financial institutions want to see, because then they believe they can trust you. And it's those type of consistency that unlocks opportunities for people, basically, right? So how can you actually control your data? How can you actually be on top of your data and ensure that you are actually managing it, and someone else is not managing your data for yourself and you're just on the ride, basically. So first thing first is know what data is being collected. When you're signing up to that new application, when you're signing up to download that new app and that app is asking you for location access, don't just grant it access to your location data for all the apps. You can grant it access whenever you use the app. So that's unique. Know what data is collected. Also try to understand what it is used for, right? Then the next one is understand your data rights. This, fair enough, in Nigeria, a lot of people might not know what data rights are, right? Because I think GATE came out, NDPC started, or the NDPR framework, the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation came out in 2019, and that's when since then the government has been trying to push it. But every user, every individual, you do have data rights, specifically 8 rights, basically. So understand your data rights and try and exercise the data rights. It is not every platform that you try to sign up to that will communicate this to you clearly, right? But every platform you give your data to, you have some rights that by the law of Nigeria, if they operate in Nigeria, if they operate in any country in European Union, GDPR, as long as that platform is collecting your data, immediately they collect your data, you have some rights that you can exercise. You can tell them to delete your data, you can tell them to update your data, you can tell them you want to change your data. And these are rights that you can, all you need to do is ask for it, and they need to basically eat. They need to answer, they need to do what you've told them to do, what you need them to do. You can also tell them to stop processing your data whenever, right? You see there are some cases whereby, regulatory fines and complaints, court actions against service providers that refuse to actually, respond to requests from data subjects on them exercising their rights. So the other thing that is regularly verify and update your information. This is very important, right? For some reasons, people think it's best to leave old information. If you're not a criminal, then you should always update your information, right? Because that ensures that you have your data is processed the way the way it should be processed, and the decisions that are made off back of that data is actually in real time. Like for instance, for loan applications, if you don't update your data frequently, they could be making or denying you that application or denying you access to that particular program because you've refused to update your data from last year, or the address that's showing on your bank account is the address that you've probably not lived in for the last 20 years, right? So ensure to update your information regularly. Then never share information unsolicited. Like basically, don't jump at every call of them saying, "Oh, I need your date of birth, I need a name," and then you're just giving it to them and just pointing out the information. No, understand why, and that goes back to the first one. Understand why you're actually asking for my name, right? If you need my date of birth for the application, how does my date of birth fit into this application? What decision do you want to make with that? In some cases and in some places, people don't know that. Let me give an instance. For job applications, you don't actually necessarily need to provide a date of birth, right? For job applications, right? There have been cases where organizations have processed people or have made decisions of people's data, like date of birth, and people have then taken them to court to win cases whereby because they've wrongfully made decisions off the back of the way they process that data, right? So understand why your data is being collected and understand what it's going to be used for. That's very, very important. So now, why are we saying all this? We've told you how to control your data. We've told you what you need to do to be able to manage your data. But how can you actually do that today, right? And that's one of the things we're trying to do here at Amala Cloud. We're trying to provide a platform that allows people to be able to actually exert their control, to be able to actually exercise their data rights by using the platform. It's very, very important. So you can set up on Amala Cloud. And what we are trying to build here, we're trying to build a system that basically, if you can see, there's the D, there's the S, there's the RA, which is basically data subject access right, right? So basically, we are giving you a tool that allows individuals and even businesses to be able to allow the consumers to exercise their data subject access right easily, right? How do we do that? Every time your data is processed by a service provider using our platform, you are going to get an email information, right? And that alert, it's very, very important. That alert can be what stops you from getting bankrupted, or that alert can be what stops someone from getting a loan in your name that you're not aware of. So every time your identity is processed, your BVN has been processed, or your name has been verified, the platform notifies you to say, well, somebody has verified your identity. This is company has done that. Are you aware about this? If you're not aware, then you could try and raise a ticket and raise a complaint and try and stop whatever is happening in its tracks, right? And then your address, is it up to date? How do you collect your address? Do you know your address? What platforms are using this thing? So that's what these are ways we are trying to help individuals actually take control of their data. Now, as an individual today, what can you do, right? What can you do today? First things first, I'll probably say sign up to Amala, basically. As a business provider, I'll probably sign up to Amala. Not because I want to market the product, but if you look at the market right now, there's very, very few products trying to actually solve that problem. Everyone here on this call has done BVN verification numbers of times. I've done NIN verifications numbers of times. When you sign up to that platform, they tend to verify your passport, right? And you've done it, and you've never received any notification. There's no clear indicator, or there's nothing that tells you that you've just verified your identity. Now, take a minute and just think about it, and imagine how many times has your ID actually been verified by someone else and you've not known, right? How many times has your details been processed by someone else and you are not aware? I'm not aware and you're not aware, basically. So you're basically just sitting in the dark. You've literally been sitting in the dark for years. Your data has been processed or it's not been processed. So what you can do today is also review your personal data with the financial providers that you own. And this is very, very critical because financial decisions now are being made via your data that is found online in credit bureaus. So always ensure that data is open, is up to date. Because when you go and try and apply for a loan or when you're trying to apply for an investment opportunity and they decline you, they are probably using data that they found online from these credit bureaus to make these decisions. And probably the data that is very old that did not meet their requirement. And that's why you're limited from getting access to that service. So update that. Then lastly, stay educated, read the news, read newsletters, subscribe to newsletters, you can subscribe to my cloud newsletters, and just try and keep yourself informed in processing data. So, well, with everything I've said, and I hope I've not bored you in the last 15 minutes, I just trying to struggle and tell you, oh, control your data, manage the data. Well, it's all for our own good. You know, we're in the technological age, there's AI, and people are doing things. And to do these things, data is very important. So take control of your data, be more aware, ask questions, don't just fill the forms without asking questions. Ask questions, read, research, try and take a minute to just scroll through the terms and conditions or privacy policy, and then you get more information and actually make informed decisions on how to manage and control your data. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to me. Hope I didn't bore you. And yeah, that's basically my few tips on how to actually take control of your data. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, Mr. Demola, thank you so much. We'll take questions at the end of the session, but right now we'd just like to move on to the next thing on our program outline, which is the live demo of best practices for identity verification using Amala Cloud. I just dropped a link in the chat. If you'd like to get on the Amala Cloud platform, please do visit that link. It is just very simple, https://amala.cloud. And you can sign up as an individual who is keen on taking control of your personal data. It's interesting that Amala Cloud allows you to control access to your personal data. You get to stipulate who gets access to your data, how long they get access to your data, and if you no longer want them to get access to your data, you can literally cut them off with Amala Cloud. And if you're a service provider and you just like to know just how Amala Cloud helps you to stay compliant with data privacy laws, please stick around. We're getting into our next segment, which is the live demo. Mr. Demola, if you're ready for us for the live demo on, the best practices for identity verification using Amala Cloud, please go ahead and share your screen so that we can begin.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Okay, great. So I see a question in the chat that says, is it free to register on Amala Cloud? Yes, it is 100% free. Setting up your account on Amala Cloud will cost you ₦0, $0. So please get on there and register. As an individual or as a service provider, we will talk about things like tokens and, fees for identity verification, but setting up your account is totally free. Please go ahead and do so. All right, so let's pay attention to the live demo as Mr. Demola walks us through getting on Amala Cloud and just putting in place all those best practices we've already talked about.
And that's to show you how easy it is to use our identity verification solution. So this is our Cloud website. This is landing page. So for individuals and service providers. So for this test purposes, I have a service provider account I've created. They are one of my businesses. And what I'm going to do basically is going to log in, do a quick verification of my own personal BVN, right? And you're going to see how we get notified via email quickly. So all I need to do is click get started, and I'm just going to click on service provider now. Just going to log in as a service provider. So this is for businesses that want to process people's data in a more transparent manner, right? Because it's not just the responsibility of the individuals, but the businesses also, right? So I'm going to just log in, right? And that's my name and password. So there's the dashboard. right? For every business, they'll be able to do this. And I'm not going to get into all that. All I'm just going to go to is identity verification. But one thing to call out is the identity verification can be done using the front end like this, or for more complex businesses, can be done using endpoints, or it's the same experience, right? Now, in this instance, I love to verify my BVN. It's quite very easy. So I'm going to do my BVN verification. I think I've done it a couple of times. So I'm just going to put it here, right? So every business, you will always ask them to provide your BVN if they want, whenever they want to process your data. We ask them to provide your name, your first name, your last name, and then the email address you might have filled as at the time of opening that account. Like I said, your email is it's not necessarily a personal identifiable information. It could always change. You could have a lot of emails. I have a lot of emails, and in this demo, I'm going to use this email, right? Just for a purpose, just for a reason here. So now when I click verify, this should take less than a couple of seconds. Right, great. That's my picture there. Probably did this, I don't know, 2014, so many years ago with that beautiful picture. So this is my BVN details, right? And this some of my personal data has been it's been minimized for the purpose of session. Now, as an individual, that data has been processed by Prior Infinite Data. That's the name of the company, right? If I look at my email, what I gave that company, the email I gave to them was ade.must04@gmail.com. That's the email I gave to them, right? So if the service provider decides for some reason, oh, they don't want you to have control, they don't want you to be informed whenever they process your data, yeah, sure, that's fine. We'll copy that email, but the email we'll always send will be to the email address you used or that is associated with that particular method of identity. So when you open your BVN, when you open your NIN, when you open your passport, when you create all these things, you were asked to provide an email address, right? So what we do is we're going to send out notification to all those emails, basically. So if you're an Amala user, you'll be able to get an email. You'll get an email basically that says, hey, I, Ademola Mustafa, your identity has been processed on our system, on the Amala system by this company for this particular purpose. And this is just for identity verification. If the service provider was to create an account, your name like a loan account or whatever purpose it is, the email will vary on whatever the identity was, on whatever purpose your data was processed for, right? Now, if you don't have an account with us, you can create an account basically to try and respond to this immediately. If you have an account, you can sign into your account and then you'll be able to view that particular history as long as you've been able to connect your account to your identity to the account that you've created with Amala. So you show all these things in your history. Now, for the Amala individual account, I'm just going to log in here just for you to see the account basically. So I'm going to log in here so you can see this is my account. This is my account dashboard on the system. We also have the mobile view and we're hoping to release the mobile app in the future. So basically on dashboard, you can see access, pending, revoked. So this is basically whenever a service provider requesting access. So for the DSA, whenever you've requested access for your data, or you've granted access, or there's pending request, a service provider is trying to access your data, you'll be able to see all the number of times that's happened. You'll be able to look into it basically, right? And other details around postcode, data, products, which some of the features are rolling out in the future basically. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do as an individual. Address, check your address history, right? That's been reported, your postcode, access management. You can manage the type of access that the service provider have to your data, right? And those are service providers that are uniquely using Amala, so the Amala system currently, right? So these are some basic things. And we are looking also, later on, you'll be able to also see your credit profile reports, right? This will allow you to see financial service providers that have access to your financial data, loans that you've not collected or loans that you've collected or loans that you've even paid and the institution has paid. You'll be able to see those information and then you'll be able to interact with service providers of such to be able to, probably correct that particular data error. So that's just a quick demo on the Amala Cloud system. For individuals, I would recommend you log into the account. And if anyone here has a business and you process people's data and you want to process it better and more transparently, then I'll suggest you use our identity verification system. So yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Demola. That was quite insightful. So if you have got service providers in the chat, you would see that we have dropped the link for you to sign up as a service provider. You just have to get on there, open up that link and sign up and do your KYC. And same thing goes for individuals as well. If you've got individuals on the chat who would like to exercise control over their personal data and really get into all that access control management, please do sign up. The link is in the chat. Thank you. So right now, we'll be moving on. We'll be moving on to the next segment of our webinar. And for this segment, I've got a highly esteemed guest in our midst. All right, so this segment is supposed to be a fireside chat on the efficacy of identity verification with Amala Cloud. And our guest today on this fireside chat is Mr. Joseph Benedict. Before I read out his profile, please let's drop reactions, emoticons, share him on, claps, thumbs up, and then I'll go ahead and read his profile. So Mr. Benedict is a seasoned cybersecurity consultant with over a decade of experience in information security governance, risk management, and compliance. As a CISM and CISA certified professional, he brings expertise in ISO 27001 implementation, auditing, and certification, as well as enterprise security management and risk assessment. With a strong background in cybersecurity governance and risk management, Mr. Benedict has helped organizations strengthen their cybersecurity postures and achieve industry certifications. He is a senior GRC specialist with a commitment to continuous improvement and business resilience. So with a round of emoticon applauses in the comments, let's welcome Mr. Joseph Benedict. All right, I see emoticons.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joseph. Welcome again.
Good afternoon.
So your profile says that, when I was reading out all of those things, I was like, wow. I mean, if this was the bigger conference, we'll be thinking of how to pay you right now.
Well, my account is still open. So if you have a change of mind, the money can still come in.
Fantastic. I'm very excited for our chat this afternoon. There are quite a number of things I'd like to ask you, and I trust that the answers to those questions will really inform our audience here today and for anyone who's going to watch this after now. So let's just get into it. I'm sure that you've interacted with the Amala Cloud platform in recent times.
Yes, I've had my fair share, and I'm very, very much impressed about the innovation, creativity behind that robust solution and what it has to offer Nigeria as a whole. So I've been there, yes.
Okay, so let me hit you with my very first question. Okay, so my very first question is, why is identity verification critical in today's digital space? You're a cybersecurity expert, so I think that you should be able to shed a lot of light on that. I know that Mr. Ademola said some part of it, but I'd like to get your perspective on this. Why is identity verification critical in today's digital space?
Okay. So everything we do nowadays is dependent on data. You understand me? And it's important that we know that data is the new oil, and we have different types of data, and the critical ones are the PII and the SPI. There's personal identity information and the sensitive personal identity information. Getting hold of these two levels or category of information can also mean the beginning of negative impacts on individuals, organizations as a whole. So in today's digital diverse world and economy, Identity verification is crucial in today's business space. Number one, preventing fraud and crime. With the rise of online transactions and services, we have the fintechs, we have the money sharks, we have the loan providers, we have the different organizations coming in and giving you juicy offers and opportunities to use their services, but behind the curtains, you do not know what their services are used for. So it can be used for crime, fraud, financial fraud, unauthorized access, and verifying your identity can help ensure that individuals who engage you or you engage are who they claim to be, and then it protects both users. Another reason is that enhancing trust and security. Your data is what you give me, your identity is what you give me, and for me to believe and trust you, it's just like we're having this conversation and you do not put a face to it. You have a poster out there, there's no face to it. How do I recognize this person? You go on LinkedIn with this particular name that you see on our screenshot, there's no face, and you see a lot of Joseph Benedict, Ademola, a lot of them, and then you begin to look at, I don't even know this person, there's no face to it. So how can I even trust this person to go on that platform in the first place, because there's no face to it? So enhancing trust and security is one important aspect. Regulatory compliance is also very, very important. We have the NDPR, we have the banking sectors also having their KYCs and anti-money laundering activities, GDPR. These are reasons why identity verification is crucial. Not to waste time, we have the enabling secure access control. For you to access my information, my services, my platform, then you must be who you claim to be, and then the type of information required of you must be provided before you have access to it. And the last two I would like to mention is, at the end of the day, it reduces your business risks. We've had organizations go down based on the fact that improper identity verification was done. You approach someone, you transact business with them out of excitement, no proper identity, no verification, no references, and then before you know it, huge amount is stolen from you, and then you begin to run helter-skelter looking for police to track these partners or individuals down. These are part of the risk associated with business. We've heard a lot of them in Nigeria. And then identity verification supports digital transformation, because very soon everything you do, it's in the Western world. In Nigeria, it's coming to play. We have the NIMSI, we have the international passport, integration of all identity to one card, where you can have your international passport to access loan to your identity management system. So it will be what do I call a unified system, where everybody would then be able to use their identity to access different opportunities, services out there, both locally and internationally. Thank you.
All right. That was quite a robust answer. And one that really stuck out to me was the element of trust. How do you trust someone? How do you trust to do business with someone who you cannot exactly put a face to? So thankfully, I put on my camera while you were talking, so we eliminated that particular bit. All right. So my next question for you is to really elucidate some of the challenges that businesses face with the traditional verification methods. I know that Amala Cloud is quite revolutionizing how businesses will do identity verification going forward. But, we're changing things. It means that there's an existing method. So what challenges do you think many businesses who require to verify customer identity have been facing with the traditional verification methods?
Yeah, so it's everything Amala Cloud wants to change. That is the problem with businesses right now. Everything they want to change. When I was starting off a couple of startups in Nigeria, we had registered with some clients, and they wanted to do customer verification. We had a client as far as Maiduguri was where their head office was. And for them to do a verification for us, they had to engage a company here in Lagos. And then the company had to drive down to our office in Magodo to come and see us. That means at that point in time, I have to be in the office to accept them. I have to make sure they see me in the office. That means I cannot have any meeting. That's time consuming. It's a lot of things can happen, accident on the road, you understand Nigerian roads, security, time consumption, processes. Those are part of the problem. Wrong with, the conventional method of doing business or identity verification in Nigeria. We have it to the extent of even banks. I know when my friends were working in banks and then they were trying to verify their references, and when they told me they are coming to my office, oh, sorry, I'm on the island for a meeting. And then the guy called me one day and said, see, sir, where are you going to do your meeting today? I want to come there. Because they need to, onboard my friend and I'm delaying. So the guy had to come down to Ikeja from Marina to come and do the verification. So these are the processes that waste times. It costs a lot of fortune for the organization to put in place. And then human errors are also huge in this aspect. We have instances whereby you come to the office, we have federal institutions come to your office for inspection, for KYC, and then because you are short of, or because they just want to bully you, they tell you, oh, you don't have this, you're not supposed to do this, the identity is not detailed. You know what, give us this, give us that, we would mark it up. Those are part of where they scheme and mess up the entire identity verification process that is going on right now in the conventional world of business. And then there's no privacy. Privacy is key. For every data or every identity that is verified, I don't need to know your age, like Ademola mentioned. I don't need to know your medical history. I don't need to know some certain information about you. So, but by the time you're having this paper conventional method being done, I'm carrying this file, giving it to one person, I'm coming, I want to go to the toilet, the guy glances through, he sees my telephone number, picks some of the telephone number, sells it to another organization at, let's say, maybe 10 naira per number, and then that person now begins to do a lot of broadcasts to you and say, oh, buy one, get one free, the video is doing, you understand me, free internet, birthday gift out. And then we have people go there and click these links, and then they become, hacked and all this. It happens. You've seen it. I've not seen it all, but I've seen it. So security and privacy is not in the conventional method. The document keeps changing hand from one person, and it looks rough at the end of the day. And then it reduces it affects the way you as a vendor or a customer or a person will also, perceive the organization you're working with. Because if I have to put everything on hold for you to identify to verify my identity, that means you're not ready to do business. If I want to access a loan in a bank, I should have a record of identity that has been verified through different organizations. So it shouldn't take you another 3 days to run through a check that credible organizations in the same industry in which you played with, you understand me, have already done. So you can also leverage on the trust in which the platform had already provided in itself. So, and inconsistent compliances, like I mentioned, the conventional method, you can bribe your way through, you can do a lot of things through. It's not automated, and with Amala Cloud, the automation is there. It's error-free. I'm not saying systems can do their own error, but you understand that at this point, you're banking on the 99.999%, then the remaining 0.1% is for benefit of doubt. You get it? So those are the things wrong with businesses nowadays. And I believe as more and more people get to understand this solution, they see, how cost-effective it is, how the process is smooth, and then it saves them a lot of time. Thanks.
Okay. That's fantastic. Really. The next question I was going to ask you has actually been answered in your answer. So thank you so much. But just in case you may want to add a few things, I just like to ask the question I was going to ask as a follow-up was how Amala Cloud simplifies and strengthens the verification process. You've said a lot, but if there's anything else you want to add.
Well, I think the best way for people to understand this is to go online, sign up, and test the waters themselves. It's not just taking my word for it or the word of the architect for it. It's about them verifying it, and then they are able to now say firsthand that okay, we need to move away from this conventional method and then transform our entire process in itself.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. That really brings us to the end of this fireside chat. But there are a few takeaways that if anybody who didn't join us early enough, if there's any takeaway you want them to take away from this particular interview, what would it be?
Well, for me, it would be that they need to digitally transform the way they identify and onboard their clients, services, or whoever they engage with. It's not just for a country like Nigeria, these incidents are underreported of fraud, regulatory compliance issues, identity theft. They are underreported. A lot of them are underreported. I could remember there was a case of a bank, First Bank recently, someone who traveled out of the country, came back to the country, and millions, tens of millions were taken out of the account and was actually withdrawn with his identity. Meanwhile, it was never in the country. So this is the extent it can go to. And for you to wake up one morning and find that your ad-end money has been taken out by you, probably your dreams, but not you in the real sense, then it can be demoralizing. So it's important that they begin to safeguard how their identity are being accessed, used, how those they give consent to. Try to read through some of these contracts and agreements. We have that of the loan sharks all over that will call, they access your phones, they access people's telephone number on your mobile and begin to threaten them that, oh, if you do not pay, they're going to arrest you and all those things. These are purely 100% illegal activity and use of personal identity. And it's important they begin to work towards protection of their data and they take adequate steps towards that. And I believe they can get that from this particular solution.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Can we just leave some rounds of applauses, reactions in the comments? Thank you so much, Mr. Bennett. That was a fantastic session.
Thank you.
I learned quite a lot, and I'm very sure that our audience has also learned. So I'm going to take questions now. I'm going to be taking questions. I know that you're still on the call, and Mr. Demola is as well. So I'm going to entertain questions. So please, if you've got a question, please go ahead and drop that in the chat. Or if you just like to, go ahead and ask. If you want me to permit you to put on your microphone so you could go ahead and ask your questions, that would be a really great time. All right. Questions, anybody? So I'm watching the chat. Yes, I've got a question. Somebody who has a raised hand. So I think that person would like to speak. Okay, so I'm going to allow your mic in a sec, and I'm going to allow you to ask your question. So Mr. Ayotomewa, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yes, I think the presentation was really awesome. I just wanted to comment. So my question basically is, what is the value proposition aside from the fact that I can share my information with service providers on the Amala Cloud platform? Is there a way for me to track my information that other data brokers or that are selling data in Nigeria, or probably that might have shared my information? Is there a way for me to claw back my information from them and to have them stop stop selling my data to other people for probably advertising purposes. Does Amala Cloud offer that service right now at the moment?
So if I heard you correctly, you asked if there was a way, the value proposition by Amala Cloud, if there is a way that Amala Cloud allows you to take back control of your data from persons who may have been selling it. Is that your question?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Demola, are you on the call?
Question. Yep, I'm on the call, so I'll take the question. So, well, that's going to be a lot of a very good value proposition. You know, a platform whereby you can just come in and see who has historical access to all your data, right? Now, for financial data like credit history, people that process your data, this can easily be done on Amala, basically. But for data around the telecommunications number and stuff like that, those things, we cannot offer those capabilities yet, because even in the country right now, there's no central system that is responsible for storing and managing people's number. But anything that has to do with financial data, which is the most important, you can come to Amala, see the credit bureaus, through the credit bureau data, you can see the service providers like open account rates, loans rates, and now, however, based on the regulation of NDPC that now allows individuals to report and exercise their rights, if you feel your data is being processed by any provider that you've not consented or given access to your data, you can raise a request. You can basically communicate with that service provider to stop processing your data. And if they don't, you can then take legal actions off the back of that. But one of the things we are going to be looking at doing and also developing internally is the capability for you to be able to raise such requests, track those requests through the Amala Cloud platform. So yeah, that will be that for now on that question.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Demola.
you.
I hope that answers your question, Mr. Ayotomiwa. Any other questions? Do we have any other questions in the house? All right. Great. If there are no questions at this time, I'd like to take it to mean that the sessions from the keynote address on taking control of your personal data and our demo on the best practices for identity verification using Amala Cloud and our fireside chat on the efficacies of identity verification with Amala Cloud was very well explained and very well understood. So some key takeaways that we've gotten from these sessions, I'd just like to highlight a couple. If you've got some key takeaways for yourself that you've taken away from these sessions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chats. Things that these sessions taught you, things that you didn't know before now, and that you will be taking away from this webinar. You can share it in the chat. It can help somebody else who was probably not paying enough attention. It would be great if we can all share. For me particularly, from the keynote address to the demo to the fireside chat, I see that it is really, really crucial to be intent on controlling access to my personal data. I have learned so far that really in the conventional way of identity verification by organization, there really isn't so much room for data privacy. But with Amala Cloud, that's something that we as users, endpoint users, customers, clients for organizations and public service providers now have access to because of Amala Cloud. So data privacy is a big deal for me. I wouldn't want, persons who necessarily don't know to know certain things about me to have that kind of information. Who knows? With the advent of new fraudulent tactics and fraudulent operations, especially with financial fraud, I wouldn't want to fall victim. So that's the cue for every single one of us to get on our account. Yes, I know I've set up my account as an individual, and I'm looking as a business service provider in the future to use this platform as well to better verify the identities of my potential clients and customers. Okay, so how do you get started with Amala Cloud? It's been shown in the demo. and I have dropped the links in the chat. If you are a service provider, you know where to go. And if you are an individual, you also know where to go. So you can go ahead. Like I said earlier, do your KYC. Don't just, set up your account. Follow through on every single step to help you get your account optimized and completed, your registration completed through your KYC. That's great. So at this point, I would like to thank our speakers. I would like to thank Mr. Demola. Please join me in thanking Mr. Demola by dropping a reaction. The praying hand emoji or the clap emoji would suffice. Thank you so much, Mr. Demola, for your time. I know you're a very busy man. Thank you. I would also like for us to thank Mr. Joseph Benedict. He shared quite insightful truths on the efficacy of identity verification using Amala. He really helped us break down the challenges with the conventional way and how Amala would help us to mitigate those challenges in the future. So I'm dropping an emoji. Thank you so much, Mr. Benedict. We really loved having you. We hope that in subsequent webinars that we will organize, you wouldn't hesitate to join us. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. I'm not seeing reactions, so please drop reactions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me too. See you in the next webinar.
All right. Okay. So every single person on this call, I would also like to thank you for giving us 1 hour of your time. We expected that this webinar will run for just 1 hour from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and we set it quite on time, but we're still here at 3:09. So I would like to disperse everyone now, but before I do that, I'd just like to say thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We hope that you learned quite a lot and we hope that you're clicking those links in the chat. We hope that you're signing up as either an individual or a service provider or even both. You may have a business you're running that will require you to verify your customer's identity. Please don't hesitate to get on our platform. We are sure that from everything that has been said, you can see the lights and see the very important, values that Amala Cloud will add to the way you do business. So please get on there and sign up. Okay, great. So thank you so much, everyone. Once again, see you in our next webinar. We can all, if you'd like to, I wouldn't want us to make the space a little too rowdy, but thank you again. I'm going to end the event now.